God, not again.
Mark woke up to the sound of moaning. He thought maybe his parents was at it again, and he thought he needed to put in his earphones like he did almost every night. The walls were thin, and he hated the new townhome they moved into. Mark got out of bed, then noticed the sounds of screams outside his window. He peeked out the curtain and saw disfigured corpses attacking people. He wiped his eyes as he tried to wake himself up. He then pinched his left arm, hoping it all was just a nightmare. When the pain of the pinch hit him, he realized it wasn't a nightmare, and he had to make sure his family was safe. His sister Donna, his mother Gwen, and his father Jonathan. Mark got dressed in a hurry, then left his bedroom. Mark ran out of his room, then over to his sister's bedroom. Mark woke his 15-year-old sister by shoving her shoulder multiple times. She screamed as her brother had scared her. Mark put his hand over her mouth, then shushed her. After Donna calmed down, she slapped her brother, thinking he came to her room just to scare her. Mark told his sister what he saw. He then told her they need to get their parents. Donna got out of bed, went to the bathroom, and got dressed. Mark kept whispering to her to hurry up and that the zombies are coming. Donna came out of the bathroom looking tired and confused. She then told her brother he better not be lying. Mark grabbed his sister's hand and brought her over to her bedroom window. Donna started to scream, but Mark covered her mouth quickly. He then whispered to her that the monsters might hear her if she screamed. Donna couldn't believe what she was seeing outside their house. The two teens walked out the bedroom and made their way over to their parents' room. Jonathan, their father, walked out the bedroom with blood stains on his robe. He looked at his kids with tears in his eyes. They got your mother. We went outside to see what was going on, and they bit her. She's in the bathroom. She got sick. Real sick. I called 911, but no one picked up. She's sick. She kept spitting out blood and wheezing, Jonathan says as he leans on his bedroom door. Where's Mom? Mark asked with a shaky voice. She came at me. I had to. Jonathan says, looking down at the floor.
You had to what?
Asked Donna. Jonathan didn't want to say it. He couldn't even believe he did it. He stood trembling with sweat and tears on his face. I had to kill her. She was trying to kill me. Your mother is dead. Mark stood in shock. He couldn't believe what he was hearing.
What?
He shoved his dad out of the way, then opened the bedroom door. Donna screamed, then fell to the floor crying. Laying halfway out the bathroom lie their deceased mother, with half her head smashed in by a hammer. She kept trying to get me. She wouldn't stop. I tried. Mark stood there in anger, but after hearing his father's voice change into a wheezing fit of sort, he then looked at his father, then noticed several bite marks in his right arm. His father was losing color in his skin as he was starting to look sickly. She bit you? Mark asked his father as he started to back away. Mark's father shook his head yes, as he started to hold his stomach and wheeze and cough. Mark went over to his little sister and helped her off the floor. Mark's father stared at Mark with hunger in his eyes. He started biting at him and slamming his fist at the walls. Mark, I think I'm sick now. I can't stop it. I can't. Mark's father drops to the floor, face first. His body stops moving as his arms fall to his side. Mark took his sister's hand and led her downstairs. He grabbed the keys to the car and a knife from the kitchen. We have to get out of here. I think Dad's sick like those people outside. He's going to come after us. Mark tells his sister as they both hurry to the front door. Donna didn't understand what her brother was saying. She was still stuck on why her father killed her mother. From upstairs, a snarling holler is heard. Mark and his sister stare at one another. They both run out the front door to the car in the driveway. Mark unlocks the doors, then tells his sister not to look at the surroundings as he helps her into the car. Mark jumps into the driver's side seat. He looks into the rearview mirror and spots their neighbor, old lady Chelsea. She's holding her pet cat Lucy. She bites into the blood-soaked corpse of the cat as she walks on to the driveway. She then slowly turns to see Donna's face in the back seat of the car. Donna yells as they both make eye contact. The old lady drops the cat, then stumbles over to the car. Mark is 16 and didn't really know how to drive yet. He remembered watching his mother and father drive a lot, so he just went on what he remembered. He started the car, then stepped on the gas as he threw the car in reverse. The car sped backwards, running over the old lady. The car shook as the tires went over the undead corpse. Her wig was stuck to the back left tire of the car as it drove down the street. Mark dodged zombies, bodies, and abandoned vehicles as he drove. He almost hit a person as the guy ran out in the street being chased by the undead. Mark drove to Charity's house, the girl he always had a crush on in school. If he was going to leave, he would have to make sure the girl he loves comes with him. Mark drove to the once peaceful suburban neighborhood. The streets are now littered with trash and debris. Undead bodies roam the streets. Mark drove as the bodies reached for him. He drove all the way up to Charity's house. He told his sister to stay down and not to make any noise. Mark got out of the car and shut the door, then ran ducking and dodging the biters. He ran to the front door of the house, then knocked, thinking that the family was still asleep. He then noticed blood on the door handle. He grabbed his shirt, then placed the lower part of it on the knob, then turned it. It opened. He walked in to find the place a mess. His heart sped up. She can't be dead. Not her. Not my girl, Mark thought to himself. Mark ran upstairs to Charity's bedroom only to find her zombie parents clawing at the door. Her father hissing and growling, and her mother pounding on the door, moaning. Mark could hear Charity crying from inside the room. Mark whistled to draw the zombies' attention to him. The two turned to face Mark with the drool dripping from their mouths. Mark kicked the wall, then yelled at them to come after
Over
him.
here! Come get me!
The zombies walked fast. They reached at Mark with their mouths open, ready to feast on his body. Mark ran, backing away to the staircase. The two of the zombies turned the corner, reaching for him.
I'm right here, come on!
Mark leaped over the rail of the staircase as the two reached for him, losing their footing. They both tumbled over one another down the staircase. Arms broke and legs snapped as the bodies landed in the corner at the bottom of the staircase. Mark held onto the rail with his legs dangling over a large aquarium. He then pulled himself up and made his way to Charity's room. He was trembling in fear as he made it to the door. He then knocked and said who he was.
Open up, Charity. It's me, Mark.
The door opened up a crack. Charity's green eyes looked at Mark. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Mark nods his head, sighing to her that he knows what's happening and that he understands what she's going through. Charity opens the door and her long hair bounces as she runs into Mark's arms. And for a moment, he felt a connection he has been wanting since the first time he laid eyes on her. Charity tells Mark how she woke up to find her father biting her mother, then coming after her. Mark then realizes he left his sister in the car too long. He ran to the staircase, only to find Charity's mother climbing up the stairs, dragging her broken legs behind her. Charity's undead father was stuck at the bottom of the stairs, reaching out and moaning. Charity took Mark's hand. Mark looked at her. He wanted to kiss her so bad, but he knew it was bad timing. Charity told Mark to come with her to the game room, and that there was a way down from the roof. Mark followed Charity to the game room. As the two of them moved through the game room, Mark glanced over his shoulder to see how far the zombie mom was. The undead body of Charity's mother crawled on the floor fast, making her way over to them. Charity opened the window, then climbed out. Mark went out after her. The two of them jumped on top of the shed on the side of the house, then climbed down off of it. Mark took Charity's hand and made his way back to the car. He couldn't see his sister as he came around the corner. He got scared, then remembered he told her to stay down. He went over to the car, then unlocked the doors. As he did, he looked in the back seat and saw his little sister on the floor looking up at him. Mark and Charity got inside the car, then Mark sped off. Charity sat in the passenger seat, staring out at all the carnage. She spotted an undead body walking around with its head dangling from its back, still attached, almost completely severed. Then another with a missing arm and half of his face missing. Charity closed her eyes, trying to hope that next time she opens them, things would be normal. "We need weapons," Mark says as he keeps looking over at Charity. His hands shake on the steering wheel as he drives. He tries to act brave, so that his sister and Charity felt a bit safe. Mark drove to his Uncle Tommy's house. Tommy always took Mark duck hunting and deer hunting when he could. Mark seen Tommy's firearm collection and knew if the undead came to Tommy's house, they would be blown away. Just as Mark pulled up to the curb across the street of Tommy's three-storied home, he could see scattered bodies lying around, heads caved in, bullet holes through eyes and heads, brains splattered all over the grass and sidewalk. Lots of blood ran down the drain on the street. The neighborhood was quiet, and a hauntingly feeling was there, making the teens feel unsafe. Mark told his sister and Charity to get out and come with him. He told them to stay close. The three stepped over the lifeless bodies, trying to watch their footing. Donna stepped on an eyeball, then squirmed a little as she noticed it. Mark kicked the severed head from his path. The mouth on the head was open, with the tongue hanging out of it, and the eyes were wide open. Mark stopped in his tracks as a red dot moved up his pant leg, then to his forehead. He looked up at the front window of the large house. His uncle stared at him with his sniper rifle in hand. He then placed the gun down. Mark smiled at Tommy. Tommy smiled back. Tommy looked behind himself, then yelled. Mark could hear him yelling at his wife to let them in. The front door opened, and Mark told his sister to go in first. Tyra, Tommy's wife, hugged Donna and kissed her head. She waited for Charity and Mark to come inside. Mark looked at Charity. "We will be safe here for now. Trust me. Take my hand." Charity stood crying, still shaken up by her parents trying to eat her. She took Mark's hand and tightened her grip. Mark looked at her with calm eyes, trying to tell her everything is going to be okay. Charity turns around to see a zombie walking out from behind a house, then three more from down the street. Mark and Charity rush inside, then shut the door. Tommy aims his scope at the undead, then fires his gun. A headshot. The undead body of a policeman stumbles back, falling in the street with a hole in the side of his head. A woman in a white gown is hit through her nose, blowing out her brains from the back of her head. She collapses instantly. A black fireman is hit from the left side of his head, knocking him into a flower garden. The last one is a kid, a 7-year-old boy. Tommy freezes up as he rests his finger on the trigger. He doesn't want to do it, but it's his family or them. The boy growls, reaching at his front door with saliva dripping from his mouth. A single tear runs down Tommy's cheek. He then takes in a breath. He closes his eyes for a brief moment, then opens them. Mark sits on a couch with his sister and Charity hugging him, sobbing. Mark holds them in his arms and looks up with tears in his eyes. Charity whimpers as she lays her head against Mark's chest. She thanks him for saving her life as she cries. Mark just stares at the ceiling. All he can hope for is to be safe and keep the ones he loves safe. All there is left is hope.